What's up, everybody? Soul here with another Sword of Convallaria video, and today we're going to be taking a look at our girl Marcille, and we're going to be going over her kit, what she can do for you, help your gameplay, and yeah, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, this girl is part of the collab. We're all happy and excited to have her. Her trait is full mana. She increases her magic attack and HP by 3%. At the start of the battle, she gains 1 stack of full mana, and then it consumes 1 stack after casting a class skill, which is basically one of her abilities. And then right here, full mana is a buff. Damage is increased by 20%, and the skill's maximum range is increased by 1 tile. When casting a class skill, she recovers 2 energy and consumes 1 stack of that full mana, and this effect can be stacked 2 times, cannot be dispelled or immunized. Really good stuff right there. So when we take a look at that, at 2 stars, we see that there is a slight increase in her magic attack and HP. It jumps up to 6%. And then for each point of energy, healing and effectiveness and damage is increased by 3%. So it's a small bonus there at 2 stars, but nothing really game breaking or too much different. However, at 3 stars, we see a pretty significant increase, and now her magic attack and HP is increased to 9%. At the start of battle, she now gains 2 stacks of full mana. So she is full on her full mana. 2 stacks is the max at the start of battle at 3 stars. And then, of course, it's the same as far as consuming. However, when performing standby, she gains 1 stack of full mana now from her trait. So that's really important. We don't get that beforehand. And so you have to get a different ability in order to get it up until 3 stars. Then at 3 stars, she's just getting that 1 stack for standing by from her trait outright. And then, of course, down, as you can see, for each point of energy, that damage and healing is increased by 4% at 3 stars. 3 stars is a fantastic breakpoint. 4 stars, we see her magic attack and HP jump up to 12%. And then we see a boost in her healing and damage up to 5% per energy that she has. Really good stuff right there. And then at 5 stars, we see her magic attack and HP jump up to 15%. And then we see right here that when she's performing standby, now she gets 2 stacks. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2 stacks of that full mana for going to standby instead of the 1. So that's a huge change from 5 stars from 4. And then for each point of energy and healing, that damage is now increased by 8%. So really big stuff right there. So she's max mana, max energy, I should say, sorry. She gets a huge amount of boost in her damage and healing. Really good stuff right there. So this is important. I think 5 stars is unbelievably good on her, and it's really important. I think 3 stars is a great breakpoint. If you're using her consistently, regularly, I'd argue, then you really need to get her to 3 stars. If you're relying on her and she's a fixture in your teams, 3 stars absolutely all day. You need to get her there. If she is somebody you're building around and you plan on using for a long time, you absolutely want her 5 stars because she gets quite a bit of value out of her 5-star trait, arguably more so than some other characters. So that is my assessment on her. Let's take a look at her abilities and ranks. First, we'll start with her innate ability, which is Explosion. That is a magical damage attack. It hits the specified target, dealing 140% magical AoE damage and dispelling 5 buffs from the target before attacking. So that's really big. It debuffs them before the attack hits. And then when she has full mana, it deals an additional 30% damage and the target and all enemies within 3 tiles and inflicts no attribute buffs for 1 turn. So when she has that full mana buff, which she can have 2 stacks of, remember, she will now hit for 30% extra damage as like an additional AoE to all targets, including the main target, for 30% of damage. And then, of course, it inflicts that no attribute buff. So really good stuff. 3 energy cost, no cooldown. This is fantastic. This is a nice innate ability right here. Coming in at rank 1, we have on the left an aura. It decreases AoE damage taken by all allies within 3 tiles around the character by 25%. It's titled Field. Decent little ability. Nothing wrong with this. I can definitely see it being useful in certain events in game especially and so on, but I'm going to suggest you get what's on the right. Absolutely important for her, and that is mana recovery. This is a passive. She gains 1 stack of full mana when performing standby. If already have 2 stacks of full mana, she restores 1 energy and 20% HP to all allies within 3 tiles of the character, and then grants them attack 2 for 2 turns. This is a phenomenal ability. There are going to be times where you stand by with her, you want that full mana, there's just no two ways about it, and now, you know, you have extra incentive doing it even when you have that full mana. And honestly, this creates another way of playing her, and that she can be supportive and relying on a certain basic attack, which we'll get at later. But that's what I'd suggest you to get at rank 1, Mana Recovery. Up here at rank 3, we have Short Route, and so this is a support. 3 energy cost. It grants move 1 to all allies within 3 tiles of the character and makes them immune to move down effects for 2 turns. And then when having full mana, it grants move 2, immunity to frost, and burning tiles. So this is a really interesting ability. I wanted to play with this and test this. I was doing a certain build with a certain few synergized characters, and I didn't have this. I'm interested in picking it up and trying it, but this is definitely something that's an option. If you're trying to run a burn team and maybe you don't have Levada, this gives her viability and allows her to come in and fill that role. And maybe you just want to supplement her with Levada. This is a fantastic ability. There's nothing wrong with this. However, what's on the right is what I'm going to suggest you to get, and that is Perfect Shield Extra. When in a healthy state, your attack is increased by 8% and your damage is increased by 10%. When having no debuffs, the attack is additionally increased by 8% and damage is increased by 10%. And so I found myself using this fairly often. It's free extra damage. All you want to do is make sure she's not debuffed and you keep her healthy, which is ideal anyways. And so this is really, really nice. Lots of free damage just for keeping her healthy and fit. And I really enjoyed utilizing this. Up at rank 5, we have Survival Master. This is a reaction. When hit by an active attack, the damage taken is decreased by 8%, and the environmental damage taken is increased by 70%. This is a phenomenal ability. This absolutely, while niche, has specific uses and times where this will be really useful. As you can see, I did not grab it, despite its utility, and that is because I suggest you to get what's on the left, and that's magical or magic counter. As a reaction, magic damage taken is reduced by 15%, just period dot, and then triggers a preempt when taking active magical attacks, interrupting the enemy's turn, and can be triggered up to 1 time per round. While it is a little bit niche, it's phenomenal to get that extra magic damage reduction, and then getting a preempt is always good, especially with her basic attack. We really like it, and so yeah, this is phenomenal. This is what I'd suggest you get. Has a little more utility than the other, but it's honestly up to you. Up at rank 7, you get her 1 healing ability, and that is Marcille's healing. And so that is an instant single target healing. It restores 120% magic attack as HP inflicts move down 5 for 1 turn with a 3 energy cost. It is an instant. That is really nice. It does have a high cost at 3, but it's 120% of her magic attack, which is a big dang deal. And so it's really, really nice. However, that move 5 is harsh. And so when you get that instant heal on somebody, they're not going anywhere. They're not moving around. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's really nice to get that heal out and get it quickly, but they're not getting out of trouble wherever they're at easily because of that. So I wouldn't suggest picking this up, and it's just up to me. It's up to you, I guess. But that's my suggestion. I'd suggest you to get what's on the right here, which is Mana Surge. Magical damage deals 60% AoE damage to all enemies within 3 tiles of the target range, inflicting that magic defense down 3. That's a 60% drop in their magical defense. That lasts for 2 turns. It is a massive AoE. This is what I'd suggest you to get. And remember that full mana, you're getting extra range. This is great. This is great, great, great. Has a really high energy cost at 4, but it is an AoE. It is going to proc her extra effects, and so I'd highly suggest you to pursue this. Pick it up, check it out. This is what I would want you to pick up at rank 7. Now up here at rank 9, that's where things start to get good. We look at these basic attacks. Silencing attack is on the left, and so it does 80% magical damage. And then it inflicts no active skill on injured targets for attacking, and then it lasts for 2 turns. We've seen this before on quite a few other characters, and this is a pretty decent basic attack. However, I'd suggest you to get what's on the right, and that is Fireball. And so this is a single target attack, deals 80% magical damage, and for each 1 stack of full mana, before attacking, damage is increased by an additional 30%, and it dispels 1 buff. And so With both stacks of full mana, you're dealing 140% with that basic attack, and it doesn't cost full mana to utilize. Really, really good stuff. Like it, love it, great. This is something I tested and played around with like SP Sophia, and is very satisfying. I enjoyed it. There's some utility between this and having her other ability, Mana Recovery, and basically turning her into an AoE healer, energy battery. Really good stuff. Love this. Highly suggest you pick up Fireball at rank 9. Now at rank 11, on the left you have Incantation. This is a magical damage. It prepares for 1 turn and selects the target tile and deals 140% damage to all enemies within 3 tiles of the target, inflicting move down 1 for 1 turn. Okay, so that's what happens after the preparation. Before the preparation, or during the preparation as it says, enemies in the area of effect are inflicted with move down 2 and vulnerable 2. So basically they're going to lose their ability to move and get out of the way, and they're going to take extra damage from this. It has a 4 energy cost, no cooldown. This is a phenomenal ability. Really great option to have if you have the Castalia. This is a little bit of a wombo combo as far as her ability to debuff the opponents and set up for some other damage dealers to come in and do some big hits as well as her. So Incantation is fantastic and phenomenal, but secondary compared to what I would suggest, which is on the right, and that is Powerful Explosion. And so this is magical damage. It is 4 cost. It deals 100% damage to all enemies within 3 tiles of the target and dispels 3 buffs. When having full mana, the range expands to 4 tiles. So instead of 3, it now expands to 4. That is a massive AoE. And then it additionally ignores 20% of the target's defense. This hits and hits like a truck. And it doesn't require a setup. You just get to outright use it. And I love it for that reason. On top of that, you are getting a Dispel. You're already getting nice damage bonuses out of that full mana and so on and so forth. So this is a phenomenal ability. And this is what I'd suggest you to get at rank 11. Remember, you want to pick up that Incantation if you have the Castalia available at rank 11. And so the final ability for her, of course, is her rank 13. And so with that, we see right here, Magical Genius. It is a passive, of course. And at level 1, you get, when you have full mana, that is, damage is increased by 5% and damage taken is reduced by 5%. It's fairly straightforward, not over the top, not anything elaborate. And then at 2 stars, instead of 5%, it is now 10. And that is for each stack. So remember, it's a max of 2. So now you're potentially getting a bonus of 20% damage and a reduction of 20% damage. That's pretty significant at that rank. And then at 3 stars, now you're getting that 10% per stack. And then now you're also getting an additional movement when you're at 3 stars, when you have full mana. So for me, there's nothing wrong with picking this up. I think it's good at 2 stars. It's a heavy investment. It's only really necessary if you're running her reliably, consistently, or maybe you're heavily dependent upon her. And I think you can stop at 2 stars. I wouldn't go any further and try to get it 3-starred, but that's up to you. 2 stars, you get that nice damage boost and damage reduction, and I think the movement is optional. You tell me what you think. That's where you can stop, in my opinion. Moving on, let's talk about the builds. First, let's talk about her debuffing build. And so for me, when I'm running her as a debuffer, I'm looking at utilizing Fireball, Magic Counter, of course, Incantation, Mana Recovery, and then that Mana Surge. And so I really enjoy this. I want to set up a Mana Surge first, and then go in with that Incantation next. And then everybody go all in when she uses that Incantation after they have that magic defense down. And then the next round, when she goes in with that Incantation, everybody's throwing everything they can on it, pouring it on, doing as much damage as they can. Really, really good stuff. This is a great option if you don't have Anita and so on. So definitely look out for that. When utilizing it, I have to stress, in all cases, Magic Ladle is the best option for her. Even at 1 star, it does a lot for her, because it basically gives her like it's called a move again, but it behaves more like an act again, and that like a sincere act again, and unique to her, and that it allows her to trigger that mana recovery. And so it gives you a magic attack increase of 5%, AoE damage is increased by 5%, and then after an active AoE attack, she can move 2 additional tiles, which is that act again I was talking about. You can't cast another ability or anything like that, but it specifically lets you trigger that full recovery, or that mana recovery. I don't understand it. It's not outlined in here. It doesn't say that. And it has a 4-turn cooldown at 1 star. When you get this thing enhanced all the way up to 5 stars, it's going even faster. And you have a 2-turn cooldown. Really, really nice stuff right there. However, that is absolutely vital in her kit. You want her to have that mana recovery, that full mana, and you need her to be able to get that back as soon as possible, as often as possible. And so this ladle is the end-all be-all for her. It is almost a make or break for her. I'd argue that she really is hard to play without this. Not impossible, but hard. So I think you need this. It really helps her and gets her across the line and allows her to do more and feel better. Otherwise, that full mana really becomes a hindrance, but with this ladle, it's doable. And then for the trinket, when you're running debuff mode, of course, I'm running that disaster bottle. I want her to be able to debuff the opponents, keep them nerfed as best as possible. And then I'm running that guidance of the world, because when she does take that standby, I want her to get that extra energy back, because when we wombo combo and we get all that rolling, I don't want to have to be waiting. I don't want to be short 1 energy and so on and so forth. I want to make sure it's proccing, everything's going off without a hitch, and so that really gets me across the line reliably. Next, let's talk about the damage build. Pure damage is what this is. And so we're running the same basic attack, fireball, same reaction magic counter. Now we've thrown in powerful explosion, because this thing just slams and it hits hard and it's amazing. And the size of the AoE is addictive. I absolutely love being able to just hit everything on the map almost. I mean, it's really great. If you know, you know, it's really, really great. Of course, we're running that mana recovery still, and then we've thrown in perfect shield extra, because we want that maximum damage as best as possible. Of course, we're still running that ladle, because like I said, it is something she absolutely needs, must have, should always be on her if at all possible. And then I've picked up Origin Hourglass. This is what I enjoyed running on her. You're not limited to this. Of course, Shield of Justice is a phenomenal choice on her as well, but I really enjoyed having that Origin Hourglass. And then the Dream of the Magician is the best Terra Whisper on her, hands down. Tested it, bar none. Just does the job, hits everything hard. You want her doing AoE attacks, and here it is. This is the one. And then on all of my resonances, you can notice and see that I'm running that wand and chalice. I want that engraving resonance. I want her getting that energy back. I want her to be able to keep on going, getting those extra nukes out when necessary, and so on and so forth. There are no cooldowns with her. You don't ever have to worry about that. Let me just stress that to you. Like I mentioned, Guidance of the World being a great choice. You're not using it for the cooldown. You're using it for the energy. So if you don't like that and you'd rather run Course of Fortune, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing damage, Dream of the Magician is the best, bar none. And so that is the all-out maximum pure damage, as I call it. Let me show you what it looks like in battle. And here we are in battle. I like this fight because there's tons and tons of enemies. Let's take a look at what we can do in this situation. I mean, tons and tons of enemies. There's lots of enemies, and we start out with high ground, and they're all forced into us. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Here they come, marching along. We're going to set up with Coco, get that Iron Pot Stew going. And then, of course, we're running that SP Sophia. I really like playing her with Marcille a lot. Especially with a certain build around basic attacks, which I did not outline and talk about. But it's still really fun. We did a decent job. Here you go. We teleport Marcille over and we start the action with a nice little AoE hit. Take out quite a few of them. Look at the range on that AoE. So big. And then we triggered, of course, that ladle act again, so to speak, move again, and we got that mana recovery. Here they come. We don't mind. We've already cleared out most of them. Only 2 little scragglers left, and the rest of them are slowly coming over. I'll bop him, get rid of him. We crit for 10,000 there on a basic attack because her basic attack is pretty phenomenal in my opinion. I'm going to move her over with SP Sophia and get ready for some more big whops. Here we go with the act again. I need to stress that. Let's get this big hit here. Let's see what this does. Well, bam. I mean, we're hitting everything. We're going to just go bop over here and hit him again. Great stuff. Now, if you notice, the ladle cooldown wasn't ready, so we didn't get the full mana recovery there. She no longer has full mana, so now she needs to stand by to get that back. And so this is where you kind of get time gated a little bit, but it's still pretty decent. I need to stress that the act again on her ability Incantation does not get triggered when SP Anana uses act again on her. So SP Anana comes along, says act again. It does not allow her to skip that preparation time. Only OG Anana's act again does that. I'll go over that again here in a minute. I'm going to discuss a few finer mechanics and details of Marcille. Skip on ahead. We'll act again. No, I'm sorry, that's not act again. We're getting the energy and attack up. Move up as well. Another AoE from Marcille. And another AoE from Marcille. Fight's almost over. Just move over here. Let's get the little double attack on this. And it's over. So there you have it. That is Marcille. She is a phenomenal unit. Tons of AoE. She is enjoyable for that reason. Her AoE is massive. I was a little bit of a critic because her rating, as you can see right here on the screen, is not the best. She's coming in really low compared to what some of these newer characters are. And so she's not absolutely mid as far as her stats and what she has in her kit. She comes in with a tier 2 rating. And that rating, of course, being 41, which is pretty detrimental. That is tier 2 as far as characters are concerned. Remember, my suggestion is to stop at 3 stars. However, if you're utilizing her and she's somebody you want to main, then yeah, take her all the way up to 5 stars. But with that said, I hated on her a little bit because of all of that. But after playing her and using her, seeing just how massive her AoEs are and how hard she can hit because of those buffs that she's getting, albeit limited, it is nice. She does feel good. It's not bad at all. And so she can definitely do a job. I definitely can see her coming in and just wham bam mamming things. So especially with the debuffs, running her as a debuffer is a ton of fun. I like that a lot. I'll showcase that some more, probably in her team comp video. And so can't say enough good about her in that regard. I think her rating undervalues her at that 41. Couple finer things that I wanted to discuss with Marcille, of course, is like I was saying in that battle with her Incantation. It requires a turn to prepare, but it does debuff them outright and right away. With OG Anana, you can skip the preparation, just like with Karis and other units. When you hit her with that act again, once the preparation is started, she'll go ahead and immediately cast. Really, really nice stuff. With SP Anana, when you cast that act again on her, post her preparation, it will not skip it. In fact, before preparation, it will not skip it. She will take that act again and will not utilize it that round and instead stay there and prepare. It's a little bit odd. I don't know. I don't know if all of units are going to work that way in the future and so on and so forth, but SP Anana cannot get her out of the preparation. OG Anana can. Also, I want to talk about the mana recovery. She's highly dependent on that ladle because of that mana recovery. You want to be able to trigger that again, and that ladle allows you to do so with its move again feature with a 4-turn cooldown. If you're not able to get this high starred, or maybe you're not able to get a ladle at all, there is one workaround, and that is the tactic command march, or marching command, I think is what it is. Yeah, marching command. Regardless, you can use this tactic, and for 2 rounds, you'll get basically a move again feature on all of your team, but Marcille in particular will be able to move again and stop, and it will trigger that mana recovery. Really important there. So if you're running Marcille and you're relying upon her, maybe like I said, you're pivoting everything on her, run March Command. That is what you absolutely want on her, on your team at all times as far as a tactic, because it will always benefit her and allow her to always trigger that each round regardless. So really, really good stuff there. If you can time it right, you're basically every round going to be able to stand by, get that mana recovery, yada, yada, yada. Really good stuff. So that is Marcille in a nutshell. She is a pretty fun unit to use. A ton of fun, actually, in quite a few ways. I'm underselling her myself right now. So I would highly suggest anyone go after her if they need somebody to do some big AoE hits. Maybe you're lacking magical damage in your team. Go get her. Feel comfortable in doing so. She is a great unit that does a great job. And she is not a gimmick or a bait for the pools. She does great work. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I deeply appreciate you making it this far. Thank you so much. If you drop me a like, it means the world to me. It really helps me out. And so I'd be deeply appreciative if y'all can help me reach, I don't know, let's say 150 likes. I want to see that number. I want to try it. I've never asked for it before, but I'd love to see it. With that also said, huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. You guys are the ones that allow me to pull over these characters, to get the guides out and get the information to everybody, and to do this. I'm deeply grateful for y'all and your support and what you do for this channel. Thank you so much. And we have a link down below for our Patreon if you're interested in supporting yourself. We also have a link for our Discord. Make sure you check it out, where we talk all things Sword of Convallaria and then some. We'd be more than happy to have you with us in our ever-growing community. And I wish you the best in all of your gameplay and fun in Sword of Convallaria, and really anything you do. Take care, everyone, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye.